The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The voice of the intellect is a soft one, but it does not rest until it has gained a hearing. Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Where ID was, there shall ego be. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. A civilization which leaves so large a number of its participants unsatisfied and drives them into revolt neither has nor deserves the prospect of a lasting existence. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Love and work. Work and love, that's all there is. Everywhere I go, I find a poet has been there before me. The ego is not master in its own house. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. The aim of psychoanalysis is to relieve people of their neurotic unhappiness so that they can be normally unhappy. The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to talking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. The unconscious of one human being can react upon that of another without passing through the conscious. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. The narcissist is in love with an idealized image of themselves. The best proof of love is trust. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Time spent with cats is never wasted. No one who, like me, conjures up the most evil of those half-tamed demons that inhabit the human beast and seeks to wrestle with them can expect to come through the struggle unscathed. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. The mind is like a sheet of white paper in this, that the impressions it receives oftenest and retains the longest are black ones. Illusions commend themselves to us because they save us pain and allow us to enjoy pleasure instead. We must therefore accept it without complaint when they sometimes collide with a bit of reality against which they are dashed to pieces. Civilization began the first time an angry person cast a word instead of a rock. Wherever the intensity of the conflicts and the neurosis was great, the evidence of a psychoneurosis will be found. Most of the errors which occur in life could be avoided if people would simply taketh time to think before acting. The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn and change. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. One feels inclined to say that the intention that man should be happy is not included in the plan of creation. Anxiety is the price we pay for civilization. The goal of all life is death. One is very crazy when in love. A man who has been the indisputable favorite of his mother keeps for life the feeling of a conqueror. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. The psychical, whatever its nature may be, is itself unconscious. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. The great question, which I have not been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? Religion is comparable to a childhood neurosis. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. I have found little that is good about human beings. On the whole, in my experience, most of them are trash. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea. They become powerless when they oppose it. No mortal can keep a secret if his lips are silent. He chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection. From era to era one discovers the entire truth. We are so made that we can derive intense enjoyment only from a contrast and only very little from a state of things. The mind is not a machine, it is a theater of war. The most common form of human stupidity is forgetting what one is trying to do.